Hey guys, how's it going? Trying to make your life easier here, and welcome back to Blank Desert Online. Today's video is just about the infinite health pot. So these are just mostly just tips and guidelines to what I did when I grinded for the place. So we're just gonna start off with Sherekhans here in the evening. The only mob that drops it in the evening is the Lateh tombstone. I think there's 3 in this location, but I generally try to do this one that's right here at this crossroads here. So what you want to do is just look at Ronaros Shelter and just go west of it, because the daytime rotation that I grind is also in this area. Generally the rotations should be able to fit about 2 people here in this area during daytime as well. The tomb you can really only realistically do one at a time at night. Trying to do multiples is just impossible because of how far apart they are. And Lateh is the only targeted mob at night that drops it. During the daytime, it is the Garud and Belcadas Sherekhan spirit that has it, as well as the boss. The boss Belcadas also has a chance to drop it as well. So those are the 2 mobs we want to keep out for. It's not too bad. Obviously, it's a very RNG grind, very insane, very intense for your time spent. If you do the nighttime mobs, you can work towards titles, but you have to kill like 2,100 of them or something like that at night to get the titles, all 3 of them or whatever. Final title is called Crimson, but that's gonna cost you about like 21,000 energy essentially, since it is 10 energy per mob. As you can tell, how I'm like killing one and then having to resummon it over and over like this does take quite a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much the nighttime one. There's not too much else about the nighttime one, so I'll see you back when daytime hits. Back to daytime, and this is the Sherekhans like daytime rotation. The only mobs you're concerned with if you're just going after the pot drops is essentially Garud with the 2 axes and Belcadas with a giant twin 2-handed sword. The other one is the boss event that occurs, which will mess up your rotation. So it's sort of a light that spawns and it'll move from group to group, and it's basically indicating that you should kill this group of mobs, and it'll absorb the death of the mobs essentially. And then when it's finally complete, it'll spawn a giant like Belcadas, which has a giant 2-handed sword. Do be careful, he does hit really hard for the area of stats that's recommended here. The recommended AP here is about like 210 AP and like 200 and probably like around like 300 DP. One of the things that obviously a lot of people are annoyed about this area is the amount of CCs that these guys do. So make sure you also use like a Villa buff if you have available from Tent, because the Villa buff grants 10% all resistance. Use an exquisite cron meal as well for further boosting that resistance. And if you have a lot of freaking gear already and you're just sort of doing this at a late game stage kind of thing, I mean, if you possess a Nuver is also really helpful. Obviously, the 4 Whom set is also very useful, and Kited Crystals in the chest is also useful, or Dark Red Fangs if you really don't want to deal with the disruption. That happens quite often. Otherwise, like, the rotation is pretty obvious. Like, you can tell by the minimap this place is just dense as crap. But mostly I do this rotation around Ronaros Shelter. Again, I use Ronaros Shelter as a point, so it's basically Ronaros Shelter and essentially in this entire tree circle here. So that's pretty much it. The rotation is just a giant circle. You can just go from group to group. Normally I sort of go around here. You won't be able to clear out the whole area by yourself, unless you're a very like certain class, but even then your pets won't be able to loot that fast if you start one-shotting these guys like Bogans. So what you want to really do is that like I said, like sometimes you'll run into people here and get contested or whatever, and if you actually value your loot buffs or whatever, if you're running 50 mil tent buffs or whatever, this place can inhabit 2 people, or even 3 actually, because there's just so many mobs all over the place. But this is essentially the rotation I did, just going around in a circle over and over. Sometimes I adjusted like my rotation a little bit to be shorter, like obviously this was like only a 4-pack here. But I want to like move into like a giant 6 or 7-pack like this, and then just go into this quick 4-pack in between, or drag them into these. Generally, the mobs around a tombstone is a much more dense. This is the backside, which has less mobs than the other side near the road. The side near the road has like a lot of mobs over there, and usually I don't try to go around this outer edge area unless somebody's like sort of already over on the other side there. and then I try to make sure, see if they're like kind of like rotating into this inner area here. If they're not rotating into this inner area here, that's kind of cool. If they're just sort of running all over the place, then I assume they have a boss event going on. But if I don't see them fighting a boss, then I just like kind of scratching my head going like, what the hell are they doing? Then usually there's either like a fight that ensues or whatever or whatnot, or just leave us alone or whatever. Generally, PvPing in this area is kind of really not cool because the mobs also CC a lot too, is the other problem. So usually most people are frustrated grinding here already because of the amount of CCs the mobs do, and then, you know, another player comes around, gets more frustrating, blah 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 blah, and then so on. But essentially that's pretty much the rotation. It's just going around in a circle. You'll notice like almost every group has like 6 or 7 mobs, and since it's 2 different types of mobs that drop it, the piece shouldn't really take too long theoretically, but it's RNG at the end of the day. You can get very lucky and get it within like, I don't know, 5 hours or something, or you could be like me at about like 43 hours. This was where I got my first potion piece drop when I started any of the potion grinds. I usually did 20 hours in every single area and rotated after every 20 hours. And then I take a break if I meet 120 hours in all 6 areas and I didn't find a single thing, which is what I did. And then I took a break, and then I go do something else in the game for a while, and then I come back and do another sets of 20 hours. And then the Sherekhan one essentially dropped at about the 43-hour mark for me, somewhere around there. And yeah, so this is pretty much the rotation I did. I was just going up and down. And then it's mostly this side here where the road is where I've noticed like the most dense amount of mobs. You don't really ever want to cross to this road here unless you're just trying to find a different spot or something. It's mostly just all within this area here on this one side. The back side that I mentioned earlier is just an extra spot if somebody's like over here or whatever, and you just kind of want to wait until they're done, or just start killing and whatever and bleed in, or I don't know. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. This is just what I found to be like the least disruptive to like getting my goals complete, rather than having to deal and waste time. So that's another thing about it. So it's basically you go into this group here. You can also run down to a little bit to this corner here if you got fast movement class. Drag these 4 mobs into this group here. Blow up this group, and obviously you have a huge ton of groups here, and then you kill this group here. Kill that group, and then make a shard right into this, and then there's like a huge group right here. And you can pretty much like, you can see like the amount of mobs that are like following me already is quite intense. It's, as well, I think using probably maybe not want to use Agris Fever here or whatnot. I'm not too sure, unless you have a lot of Agris Fever. It's the loot is quite heavy. The trash is like quite heavy. So if you use Agris Fever and you're having a loot scroll going, you're probably going to get overweight really quickly, and I'm pretty much capped out on weight, and even I had problems with weight here due to the trash loot, so you may or may not want to do that. It's entirely up to you, but your horse will be pretty close by, obviously, as where I started in the beginning of this rotation is just at the stairs to the right over there. And all the mobs, generally, you should be killing around like 5 to 7 on average per group. And mostly around this bend here, near the 2 tombstones, is where the greatest density of mobs is. Then you don't really have to bleed into the backside behind this arch of whatever. So like, this is what I mean by like the rotation. The area can literally cohabit like 2 people. This isn't the only place for it, obviously. Sherekhan Mountains is quite large, but this was the one I just stuck to because I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, like, it's very easy to pinpoint because of the node here. There's also areas up in the northern sections around the edge around here too, but I never really explored it because this was already good enough for me. And I noticed that there was like enough mobs for like 2 to 3 people in this area, and I was like, alright, yeah, whatever. So I'll just like grind here. There's like, by the time you finish like doing one entire section of like huge amount of mobs, they'll have already respawned too, which is what I mean by like, it's kind of pointless to go beyond. The backside has like less mobs, but this side on the near the road is like the most dense I could have found. And I didn't really do a head count on the mobs because I was like, well, there's 2 of them. All I have to do is just look for these double axe guys and the giant sword guy, and I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. And essentially every group already has like 2 or 3 of them every single kill, so you're rolling for the chance for the Sherekhan piece like quite often. Obviously, like, I'm sorry if you spent like hundreds of hours here. It's just RNG. It's kind of shitty, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh shit, somebody's flagging on me here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Not even... the fuck? Okay, he's a striker. I don't know what he's doing. I'm just like trying to do it now. Oh my god. Okay, bye. He just escaped, but okay, whatever. Anyways, that's that, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. He's like still right here. And he's gone. Okay, well, whatever. That's where the escape point takes you, is to the road. And you get somebody that just randomly flags on you just like that, so I don't know. It's just like whatever. Oh, he's still here. Okay, I had to do it because, you know, I don't like it when somebody starts a fight and then fucking runs away from it. Like, literally die like a man or don't start it at all. Welcome to Kagtums. This place is awful, and there's only really one rotation. So from the Bloodwolf Settlement Manager, just go east, and then you'll eventually run into this pit over here. There's a pit with like this huge rock over here with some dudes. It's normally where everybody sort of parks their horses generally for this area. This grind is really problematic for the HP potion because only one mob drops it, which is the Kagtum Executioners and the Warden. The Warden boss that shows up sometimes, like every now and then when you free all the slaves or whatever. So like the rotation is pretty burned into my memory. So just starting from there and just going up here. There's a lot of contention here, obviously. I might even get flagged on during this like showcasing here, but I got flagged on a Sherekhan earlier. That was I don't know what the hell that was. Literally some striker just woke up to me and just went ook ook and tried to grab me, and I don't know, nothing much happened other than him running away and me losing 100k karma for blasting him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then so this rotation is like the only rotation I found to be useful for this. It's pretty much, we'll go through it one extra time, just first time explanation. You just want to blow up as many of these Kagtum Executioners as you can, obviously. It's the only mob that drops it, which is really rough. This rotation only fits basically one person, or like 1.5 person essentially. I've overkilled the rotation before, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, I'm like, this is really bad. So yeah, and like, I don't know what the drop rate is, but it seems pretty low. Various results ranging from what I've seen firsthand is insane. The range extends anywhere from one of my guild officers taking 507 hours to get their Kagtum piece. It took me approximately 140 hours myself to get it. Another officer of mine got it in 7 minutes. Okay, it's literally ridiculous RNG. So you just literally have to kill and pray and hope it happens. This place really sucks. And yeah, that's pretty much the rotation right now. I've pretty much already done a full loop, and that's it. To extend it any further than that, it's not possible because this is like about as tight as it gets in terms of a kill rate on the mob, as far as I could have counted. I don't even remember the count, but I just remember that this is the most abundant that's available, which is why this particular rotation is also very, very contested all the time for whoever's chasing the potion. Pretty much everybody will always want to fight for this rotation, essentially. It's kind of rough. There are other rotations, but they're nowhere near as dense. And that's one of the main problems, is like it's just the executioners. So just to start off from where we began again, it's just from where my horse is. We start off here, and you just kill like all these groups here in the middle. Hopefully you've got a class with a lot of AoE. You just basically 1 AoE per pack. Hopefully you have enough AP to do that. Into this pack here, turn around, and then like there's a few here, throw a skill there. One over here, one over here. Now I don't really go down this road here. You cut through the middle here because there's another 2 executioners, or 4 executioners in the middle here. And then sometimes, like on the off chance, you might want to make a small little detour here if you want to kill the elite that generally spawns behind this group here. But most of the time, that's not really a group you go after unless the elite is there. You kill this group here. You throw a skill into this one if you want, and then you go down here into this pack. And then just across here, near the waters. Sometimes there's elites across on the waters too. You can jump into those and blow them up periodically. Only spawn like 1 per hour or something like that. And then run back up here, and then like go. You can also, if you threw the pack here, then you just skip it and you go straight into this one here. If you have a ranged AoE skill, and then you just turn around, go straight, go into here. The most amount of executioners is sort of like in this hallway here. Generally I just throw a skill here. Some people skip this middle part, or either that they go through the middle part and then they skip this lane in the back here. I generally do both of them because if you have a lot of AP, this one I don't really kill the group, I just snipe that one out and then I just go into this group. Because there's like 4 or 5 executioners down here in one group, and then there's like another like 2 or 3 down here as well. So that's why I do like this back lane down here, and then you move all the way back up, and then you notice like those mobs are dead behind, and this is pretty much the rotation. Other off-brand rotations, like when I went like sort of near red or negative karma, because having to fight like over and over with a spot with some people every now and then. There's other rotations that, like, I went to Arsha server, right, to live on there just to regain karma, and because everybody kept PvPing that day anyways, I was like, oh fuck it, let's just jump to the PvP server. Like, what's the worst that can happen other than people alt-seeing me? That's no different than the regular server, except they won't be whining about their karma. So I went to the Arsha server, and then people were whining about like me like invading their spot again, and they were more allergic to PvP on the PvP server than they were on like regular servers, which was really weird that day. It was all caught on stream. I was busy scratching my head again, going like, what the hell? And like I noticed like there's like strong person is like in that rotation I just showed you, and then like people who aren't as strong to like hold their spot was like doing like this group here, and then down south, and then they sort of like did this riverside here, and then they cut across the water, and then they blow these ones up, and then they go down the water and they blow this one up here too, and then they go over here or something, and then they cross circle around into this group, clear out this group and this elite, and then move all the way back up and sort of like bleed part way into that other rotation, and then go back up, kill this group, kill that group, and then kill this group, and then go back into this. So, you know, that's like another off-brand rotation just off the side of the middle here, if the person in the middle is not killing fast enough. But then they might get like annoyed that you're sort of like leeching mobs off the like edge of their rotation as well now. So, you know, it's really strange, but honestly, like the worst part about this is that this is like one of the few areas that have the executioners. Like a lot of the Blood Wolves area barely have executioners anywhere else. Like in the river rotation here for just trash, you'll notice there's only like 1 executioner there, like 1 executioner there, 1 executioner there, and 1 executioner there. It's like 5 split into like 5 groups or something, and then like a few more over here. It's a little bit more dense and trash here. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's still just RNG, so even if you do have a huge quantity number of rolls on the unit kills for that drops a piece, who knows? I mean, like, you could probably get it in like 100 kills, or you can get it in 100,000 kills, but in any case, good luck, mates. I don't like this one at all, given that there's literally only like 1 real dense rotation with the actual mobs. During alternate drop events, though, at Kadris, it's actually much more favorable to do different areas than to do Kagtums, but who knows when that's going to come again. Anyways, that's it for Kagtums. Ronaros is probably actually the best place to grind out of all the 3 places for the HP pot. There's about like 3 rotations for it. If you haven't done the Kama Sylvia quest line, you probably should. Just so that you can pick up extra daily quests for the Ronaros. There's a quest giver here right by the node itself at the Tooth Fairy cabin, and then at the Acher Western Guard camp there's also another NPC there that grants you more daily quests. The rotations are pretty simple. There's 2 mobs again that drop the potion piece here, so it's actually pretty generous. And they're in abundance too, so it's mostly the Forest Ronaros Guardians and the orange main dudes, which are the catchers or whatever that teleport. One of the things about these rotations is that, so this Ronaros Catcher is the other one. This is the first rotation that I used to always do all the time. It's just a loop around this one island that by itself. One of the things here to note with the Ronaros grind is that you want to also like sort of use these Ron's mirrors. If you kill the Ron's mirrors before it finishes spawning the Ronaros, you could lose like 4 extra mobs per rotation. Generally, I try to trigger the mirror like every other rotation, so you get a bonus 4 mobs per kill in the groups. So that's one of the strategies to sort of make your grind a bit more efficient. If you have too much AP and you're just nuking these mirrors down before they can even spawn the mobs, then like, yeah, then like, you know, you'll have to be a bit more careful with your AoEs if you actually want to utilize that kind of extra mob kill or whatever, and make sure your AoEs are more directed away from the Ron's mirrors. You just want to tap them once and have them spawn, but because of so much gear, I'm practically just blowing them up really fast. So if you have a lot of AP, just like kill the mobs as fast as you can. If you're actually really good with your AoE control, then just tap the mirror and sort of like drag the mobs into another group. And that's pretty much like one of the rotations here. Most of the rotations are pretty good at Ronaros. On top of that, the trash and the rare drops around here are also really nice. Usually you can find like anywhere from 7 to 12 Caphras stones an hour on top of like pure forest breaths. I've literally been here like way too long. And those items are really good. On top of that, they also drop like forest furies as well, which are really expensive at the time of this video's making. Used in a lot of like high-end stuff that a lot of people want. So Ronaros overall is pretty much like the best grind in my opinion out of like the 3 areas for the HP potion. On top of that, it generates like probably the most cash per hour on top. And there's also like guild quests that you can find fairly often, and it's pretty close to a safe zone if you need to just like chill out and go AFK fishing or whatever and close to town. So overall it has pretty much the trifecta of like everything, like easy access, not really far away from town, really good amount of like dailies too. So like 7 daily quests that give like really decent items to help first boost that first hour of the day kind of thing. You'll notice like these mirrors that I triggered, there's like bonus 4 mobs that are like stacked on top of each other. So it looks like it's like greatly like more dense than usual. So that's pretty much the first rotation, is just this like island like that used to be a safe zone, but they changed the safe zone to not be safe zone anymore. I used to call it the safe zone rotation because like this entire area used to be a safe zone. And then they finally changed it into a mob area, which is what it should be. So yeah, that's pretty much the rotation. You can pretty much go around it forever. It's pretty decent in my opinion. The other rotation more people do is the one on the western side, closer to the Acher Western Guard Camp. So this rotation is pretty small. It's a very small area. There's 3 rotations in this entire area. So it's very unlikely to ever be contested unless people just, I don't know, they just not really caring to go for the whatever they're doing or whatnot, or they're just looking for PvP, which Arsha server exists, but okay. And then this is the other rotation. I think there was someone else grinding here earlier. I think they've done now because I see the mobs are all up. It's basically the western side here. Just go through all these groups and these trees. It's pretty straightforward. Just try to draw it into a circle, either clockwise or counterclockwise, however you like. The other rotation I showed you before, you should definitely go clockwise in that rotation. It's a little awkward to go the other way around because of the mob placements and the Ron mirror placements. But in this rotation here, there's not really many Ron's mirrors at all to be made use of. And they're all like just groups of 4. And you sort of just go around this entire area. And it's basically a loop. And you go on this outer edge, kill these mobs over here. And then just move back inwards. The head count, I don't know, it's kind of about like the same as other areas as far as I'm concerned. The rotation is just sort of more consistent and sort of straightforward, since you don't have to manage like using Ron's mirrors for extra mobs. It's basically just go around in a circle in this entire forest area here. There's more down the path as well if you're overkilling like I am here. So you want to bleed across the road, and across the road this is where like, I think this was like one of the more denser areas where my warrior officer got it. Yeah, I think this guy is still, oh, this is somebody else that's grinding here now. But like this is another area, as you can tell, like this ninja is also grinding here. So this is the more dense area with the mirrors. And this rotation is pretty large. It's also a huge circle. If you can look on the mini map, like the red dots are pretty much just sort of outlining this entire place to be a circle. There appears to be a lot of guardians in this corner here too. That's actually quite a number of them around here. And I think this was actually this was actually the rotation, sorry. This is actually the other rotation. It's on the far western side, like close west of the Tooth Fairy Forest icon, and you just go around in a huge circle around all these mobs. I remember now. I was also doing this rotation as well. So this is pretty much the other rotation. There's that ninja now. He's probably thinking I'm invading his rotation, but I'm not. I'm actually just running around. And yeah, this is the other rotation. So you just want to go around like this entire area here. And this is pretty much it. It's a very, very large place. You most likely won't be able to clear out the whole thing, but you'll be able to go continuously infinitely. You know, if it's occupied, obviously it's only good enough for about one person or so, or 1.5 persons. It's just that you won't be able to over clear. You basically want to stay on the left side of this road here is the essential pattern to this entire rotation. Going across the road here back towards like the Tooth Fairy cabin, this is a very tiny rotation, only if you're like low AP requirements or like you don't have enough gear or whatever. So this smaller rotation here should be able to sustain you essentially. It still has a decent number of like mob targeted drops for the HP pot. But this is like basically, if you're not high enough AP to blow up the Ronaros really quickly, this rotation should sustain you. But then like if you have higher AP, then you go further west. And of course, so if this doesn't work for you, oh, I guess there's 4 rotations then. So there's the island, there's the one just across the river next to the island on the west side, and then there's the further west side. And then there's this other one on the east side on the hill, just on the other side of this island. You gotta cross a river again, and this is the last rotation. It's sort of another one that's just going downhill. It has a lot of mobs as well, and you can utilize the mirrors on your way up. No, most people normally aren't on this side. I rarely ever saw anybody on this side of the Ronaros forest. It is still really, really dense, but you sort of zigzag downwards, like just going left and right, and you just make your way downhill. And then once you reach the bottom of the hill, you start working your way back up. There's enough mobs in this rotation essentially to respawn as you go up and down too. It's just that you have to sort of plan accordingly when you're going zigzagging up and down. That eventually, once you reach the bottom, as you make your way back up, some mobs might not be respawned yet, but it is like a little bit less efficient than the other ones. And then this is pretty much the bottom here. Once you reach the bottom, you start making your way back up. And you start killing the mobs over and over. And that's pretty much like the 4 rotations. There's definitely enough mobs here to rotate like going up and down, especially once you reach this side here. You can notice with all the Ron's mirrors triggered, the amount of red dots on the map is actually kind of ridiculous. But that's what's possible if you actually like utilize the mirrors. If you kill the mirrors too early, then 4 of them just despawn and they're gone. But if you use them properly, then yeah, you could spawn an extra 4 mobs like pretty much every other rotation. It won't be every rotation because you still have to kill the mirrors to reset them. So it'll be sort of like every other rotation or every 3rd rotation that you're going through the mobs here. That's one of the other ways to improve your trash here. I want to say something crazy is, I mean, like, I've grinded this place a long time, but you should generally sort of be able to make about like 150 mil to like 200 mil an hour or something with loot scrolls. No Agris Fever back then. That's just like assuming you sell everything, like the pure forest brass, the Kaffir stones and whatever. The whole place amounts to about like 150 mil an hour for what I did anyways. And then like for the first hour with the daily quest, it's also a little bit extra boosted on top with those extra fragments. And you also have to account that like when you form these fragments with like another type of fragment, then you get pure forest brass and anywhere from spans of 1 to 3 extra, which is another like 2.5 to 7.5 mil on top of what you're grinding. So that's what you should also account for. So essentially every 20 fragments is like sort of like an extra range of 2.5 to 7.5 mil in pure forest brass, because it takes 20 fragments to form it, even though you need 2 types, but you only get the earth type here, and eventually down the road you will be able to form different ones. Oh, that guy says like he's about to leave if I want to take over. I wasn't actually invading. One extra thing I want to mention, that if you're doing the Sherekhans and the Blood Wolves, make sure you have you meet Gerez. He offers like a weekly quest limit for any of those areas. That if you're going to be grinding there for many hours, you want to take as many bonuses as you can with you. You can grab multiples of these and stack them as long as you just hold on to the quest. So I have tested this. You actually can have multiple weekly quests going for it. Just make sure that you when you accept it, you know, it's right here or whatever. So you can get a bonus 150 spirit dust as well. Like it's not a fun grind. Okay, So maybe like you can use like I got another one here, and I'm just gonna pick this up. This is for Shira as well, just because. So if you pick up like you know, over a course of weeks, keep buying this every week from him, you can eventually accept like a different number of them. You can only stack one quest type, but you can get all different quests at the same time if you want, and then like maybe that 4th week you just go through all 4 areas and do an insano grind for like a whole few days, and then you'll end up with like 600 Caphras dust. Okay, so that's only for the Dregan areas. Unfortunately for Ronaros, that's not available, or I don't know. Maybe they'll add something later in the future, but I don't know of anything bonus for the Ronaros. Alright guys, and that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Just the last few little details here, so in case I missed anything. Obviously, Blood Wolves has a lot of daily quests as well. I forgot to mention it when I was showing that one. Make sure you grab all of them. They're normally like near Myra here in this area south of the Night Crow post. But don't forget, there's also some east of Marak Farm as well. I think there's like 7 or like 10 different daily quests you can grab for the Blood Wolves. Grab it as an extra bonus for yourself for like Caphras Dust and also the Black Energy Residue, which you might use down the road for who knows what, or just spare cash, who knows, or CP bonuses. Sherekhan, the daily quests there are kind of pointless. They're mostly only for the evening mobs, and you get it from Kagtum here, and it's only for the nighttime, so that one's kind of sucks. And he has you kill like all the different kinds too. It's not just the Lateh mob, which is the one that drops the pot piece. So kind of unfortunate, but the weekly quest, make sure you grab it from Gerez. He doesn't have a world icon here, but he's somewhere like right here next to the Tamasa, the marketplace person. I don't know if there's like certain requirements where you have to complete the Dregan quest line in order to have that enabled, but if not, then just sort of figure it out. If not, I will post I'll post it in the comment section below and pin it there as an extra addendum later on if people are struggling to figure that out, because I have a lot of things completed already and I don't know when they added that in, and it was just like automatically available to me, is why I don't understand how that was unlocked. I just know that they added it in a patch in a later date, but I already had like a lot of the stuff in the game complete, so I don't know the requirements as to how to get to that. So that's another problem that I don't know how to express. And the Ronaros one, again, Tooth Fairy Cabin, like dailies, and also the Acher Western Camp. If you do not see the dailies, then you need to complete the Kama Sylvia questline in order to access those. So that's one of the other things that you may not see that I had on the video here. Just trying to cover all bases. And then in terms of an alternate drop event, for the HP potion, the alternate drop event pieces are actually kind of good for the Kagtum one. It relocates itself to Kadri, which is the two-handed axe warriors there, and actually quite an abundance of them there. When they had the alternate drop event there, I actually spent about 80 hours chasing it there, and I actually never got it to drop. But I have seen like confirmed cases of people like having it drop, and also like showed me screenshots of it in the past. When the event exists, I don't know when and if they'll have another one like that. The Sherekhan piece, unfortunately, Sherekhan is the best area for Sherekhans. The underwater zone in the upper area is just complete ass unless they do a revamp of it someday. It's the upper area. It's not the underwater danger 280 AP zone. It's the easy zone with like very shitty density, and like the mobs are just scattered all over the freaking place. And it's only the giant crab that drops it in the underwater zone. So if you're just doing a drive-by and you're feeling like RNGesus is on your side, you can kind of do that. So just kill a few crabs and maybe it'll just drop it for you, on top of maybe even the merchant's ring piece for whatever the fuck, why not? And then the Ronaros, I don't remember what the Ronaros piece was. I think it was the Proddy Cave. So if you're grinding Proddy Cave, it's kind of not that bad. I don't quite remember which one it was. But Ronaros honestly is like a really nice zone. I wouldn't really choose the other area over Ronaros. It's only the Kagtum like alternate drop place that was really nice for Kadris. Kadris was actually pretty good to grind compared to Kagtums as an alternate area that dropped the piece when it does activate. So that's really all I wanted to add on to the end of this video, and I hope this helped you out. If it did, please give it a thumbs up and whatnot. It helps me out as well. It's just a click, and I'll see you in the next video. So peace and take care.